Before we begin the meeting, June Price has asked for a few minutes to talk to you about her efforts to deal with this problem. So, June.
Thanks, Arnie. I'm sure most of you have already heard about the upcoming protest scheduled for Casper Rain's concert on the 14th. Just some quick info on that. I've spoken with Officer Bright of the police department, and he assured me that as long as we keep things organized and non-threatening, there should be no problem whatsoever.
Excuse me, June? I'm not a huge fan of Casper Rain's. I find his music somewhat annoying in its effort to offend. It's funny. I use the radio in class from time to time, especially when discussing poetry. And every now and then, a Casper song comes through over the airwaves, and the effect on the students, it's fascinating. Like, some of them will straighten up in their seats, others glance around the room nervously. But most of them they just stare at me, waiting for a reaction, I suppose, a critical comment, I don't know. I've always been a believer in letting the artist's work speak for itself.
The First Amendment was not created for scum like Casper Rain's.
Larry, please. Chip has the floor.
Personally, I prefer some sort of a debate or a discussion rather than positioning ourselves with this ambiguously motivated protest. Why don't we let the students decide how they feel instead of imposing our own personal views upon them?
We need to move on due to time constraints. Number 2, signs and placards, let's keep them clean.
Josh was in my creative writing class last year. He was definitely a leader, very outspoken, full of ideas, energy, which was interesting because, well, every time I saw him in a different setting, like the cafeteria or the library or the study hall, he was very sullen and withdrawn. I knew there were problems at home, but, well, June and I were co-workers, so I didn't feel it was my place to pry. One of my regrets.